I think we're live. All right, so again, I'm gonna have to crack the whip. We lost retro for a while and clocked it. So it's just me, T, Robert, and Terrell, and everybody's getting a little lax on showing up. It's fine. There isn't a whole lot of there's some news and stuff, but yeah, I'm just gonna start off, share some of my opinions before the other guys get here. Um, so I got 135 or 6 hours in Elden Ring now, and it's just kicking my ass. The final couple areas are just so ridiculously hard. It's just you know it's frustrating, and then it's rewarding, and it's frustrating. So I have a take on I've had this take for a while about difficulty options, and there's absolutely nothing in my mind that would change by just having the option. Let me fix this light. To just have the difficulty suit your needs. I mean, I'm ridiculously over leveled, and I'm on this area called the Halig Tree. It's an optional area, and it's just every enemy can kill me in like 2 to 3 hits, and they're just super aggressive and just so many at once. There's a bunch of dudes popping out from behind corners. It's just like just double middle finger this area. It just says fuck it, let's see how frustrated we can make you. And I read a quick little thing on it and said apparently it's really bad for melee players, and that's what I am. And but my both my playstyles are absolutely just like the opposite of what I need for this area. And I mean, there's guys with magic spells coming out constantly. There's these guys with like almost like lion wolf face guys with long swords, super fast, super aggressive. 2 3 hits, you're dead. Plus, there's like three other guys like constantly attacking you, and it's just like I played this pretty much the entire game, where if I go to an area, I take out the guys, take out the enemies, and progress. Unless I'm getting back to a boss fight and I've unlocked like a shortcut, I'm not gonna fight everybody every time. This area, I just said fuck it. I'm just running by everybody on this tree branch, because I mean, there's this narrow tree branch. There's magic. There's ants. It's just ridiculous. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, from a game design standpoint, at this point, I'm a level 150 and clocked it. He beat the game at like level 126. What's up? We got Lenny, we got Donnie, Falcon, and Moki. Um, I'm way over leveled, and I'm struggling. This is an optional area, and I guess the boss is the hardest in the entire Soulsborne series. I forget her name, Melania or something. But it's just like I'm not having fun. Um, yeah, my stubbornness is pushing me through, and then if I get past the area just by running, thank God. And then I had a boss fight. Boss fight, like the mid boss, it was Loretta on a knight on a horse, and it wasn't too bad. But it's just like this area is just not. It looks great, but I'm just not having fun, and it's like, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to at least try to the boss. I'm going to at least get to the boss. I'm making progress, slow and steady, but it just takes so long. And it's like, if I had a magic build, would I be able to blow through this? It's the problem with games with have so many variables for builds. This game has just so many different builds you could do, and it's like, so they got to try to make it so an area is not can't be cheesed with this one particular build, so they got to make it harder. But then I'm here with a sword and a shield just getting obliterated, and my hands have been bugging me the last like 2 months, and I took a whole week off. And then Robert wanted to play Returnal co-op. Well, I wanted to play. We played 10 hours in two sessions, 2 5-hour sessions basically. And then I was like, well, I gotta make some progress in Elden Ring. I gotta beat this game, and then I'm gonna probably take a couple weeks off just to see if my hands can fully heal. But like 5 hours later, or 4 or 5 hours later, I'm playing Elden Ring, and I'm just like, I got pretty far, killed a bunch of knights and some more manageable enemies, and then there's a stupid giant plant putting off poison, and I got a little greedy. And I died, and I was like, you know what? I'm saving, and I'm leaving. I'm not gonna try to get my runes back because it's already 10 o'clock at that point, and I'm just like, it's just too much. It's too much. There's on the main area I'm at. It might be the final boss. I don't know. I killed the former Elden Lord, and then there's this. It looked like a woman, then it turned into some kind of. It looked like a dude with like a long samurai sword. He's teleporting. About 10 tries, I beat him with one health flask left, and it goes to a cutscene, and then there's this giant enemy with this giant sword. Every attack's just throwing out magic, and it's like I died within 20 seconds, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, there's no break in between. There's no refilling my health flask. Like, I'm gonna have to beat both these people, and I'm just like, man, it's tough. So yeah, I'm a fan of Bloodborne. I started Demon Souls. I'm a fan of that, and I'm a fan of Elden Ring, and I have nothing against having a difficulty option in those games. Just reduce how much damage they take to kill, how many hits they take to kill, and how much damage they do. I mean, it's not gonna. It's kind of scale to your skill level, So anyway, what's up, T?
Hold up.
I was just kind of giving my take again that I still think there should be difficulty options in the Soulsborne games, even though I enjoyed every game I played so far. I still don't think there's anything wrong with letting somebody drop the amount of damage an enemy does to you and how many hits it takes to kill them, because you still gotta play. You still gotta. I'm not saying make it so easy.
What the designers intended.
Yeah, I'm so over leveled that and it still isn't even good enough. And like, I've seen a streamer I watch, and she's like not blasting through, but she pushes through, beats an enemy and a boss, and then I see her level, and she's like 70% of the level I was at that boss, and I'm like, Jesus. So I mean, there's obviously people are better at those games, at that game. I don't have the quickest reflexes. A couple times, I swear I hit that circle to dodge, and I don't dodge, so I don't know. I don't know if my controller's wearing out. I don't know what, but either way.
The original Mario had difficulty levels?
Kind of. You could skip. You could skip a lot of the hard levels if you knew the warps. Yeah, that dude does look like a lady. That boss fight, I mean, it had boobs and everything, and then all of a sudden it's like this dude. So I don't know, but either way, I'm near the end, and it's frustrating, and just like it's almost like punishing.
Guys can't have boobs. Is that what you say?
Well, this is like, it started out with boobs, and then there wasn't boobs after the cutscene, and then like it's a transformation. But everybody can say get good, but there's nothing wrong with still having options. Like, I said it before I played these games, and I believe it even more so now. Like, what is it? It doesn't hurt me if somebody wants to play it on easy. Like, it doesn't affect me. I think it's really about people that worry about what other people do are the ones that
I don't understand the gatekeeping, man.
It's like, what's something that I can compare it to? I think I said this. We were talking after the podcast. I was telling, I know T was there. I was talking about how there's some women activists who are trying to get cheerleading removed from the NFL. They didn't ask the cheerleaders. They didn't ask the people who make a good living being cheerleaders. What they wanted. Good living? I know the Dallas Cowboys ones I know make good money, but
they don't make that much money. I watched a documentary about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, either way, they're not the ones saying that they shouldn't be objectified by this. It's other people telling them that they shouldn't be able to work and be a cheerleader, So that's kind of how I feel with the Souls games. It's like, What do you care how I play? I mean, I can over level. Yeah, I could spend half a day or 2 days straight getting over leveled. So what's the point? Why not just have a difficulty option? Because in Horizon Forbidden West, I started on hard. I was getting my ass kicked. I said, you know what? I'm putting this back down to normal. Um, I played the first 20 hours on hard, and then I was just like, I couldn't beat this freaking. It's like like a giant turtle thing, and it has all these little missiles on it. These little individual guns on its back that just shoot and do like quarter health every hit. And it's just like, you know what? I've been struggling on this boss for like 20, 30 minutes. I'm just gonna drop it down, And it's like, for some people, they wouldn't have to drop it down, but I did, and I have nothing. I mean, that's just a good option, I think. So, and I know before I played the games, all I heard was, well, it's a level playing field. You beat the boss, and I beat the boss, and there's no, it's there's nothing, there's no asterisks needed or blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, well, you could beat the boss on level 20, and I might need to be level 40, so it's not a level playing field already. So and you could have like some weapon you found that's like hard to find that does major damage, and I could be using like a shitty weapon. So it is what it is. But no matter what, you find a thread about Elden Ring, you're gonna get the Breath of the Wild hate because Mandy plays. She made a statement and had nothing to back it up with, so people were calling her out. But it always turns into Breath of the Wild hate. Breath of the Wild is too much like Ubisoft. It's got Ubisoft towers. The open world's boring. There's nothing to do. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, you didn't play. Exactly. You didn't play, or you just completely full of shit.
If you think that the quote-unquote Ubisoft towers is... I mean, it's true. You climb the tower and it unlocks the map. But it doesn't unlock your objectives. You do not need to get the towers. Other than the first one's mandatory. You don't have to get the map at all. You could never look at the map. And you'd still be able to fully play that game, 100% it. Because you can just use your...
And there's nothing inherently wrong with towers. It's just that Ubisoft does that shit so much. And if they don't get it one time, nobody will be complaining about
Ubisoft
towers.
You have to do it in order to unlock your missions in that area. Like it unlocks all your quests, your side quests. So you're forced to. But even taking that into consideration, I would say the towers make up 0.1% of Breath of the Wild gameplay. Like, there's so much other stuff to do.
Like in Horizon,
like the tall necks. I did the tall necks. You do them, and then you never have to do them again. Like it's like it's such an early game thing to do, and then you never think about it after that. You're like, oh my god, I had to climb that tall neck to unlock the map. Like it's the stupidest complaints too. Yeah, I agree, Matthew. Those stupid turtle things, and then they're giant, and then they just instantly go underground and like teleport, around you super fast. And I'm like,
where is everybody? I thought I'd be the one.
Well, they were both saying they're gonna be late, and they didn't say why or how.
I thought I'd be the only one. I thought I'd come in, man. Everybody was already be here.
So, it is what it is. And then whatever. And then somebody did say, well, it's all the Elden Ring haters are Breath of the Wild fanboys. I'm like, excuse me? Like,
wait, what?
Somebody said that, and it was just, it was ridiculous. I read some of that stuff, but I never comment because I don't want to be tagged in any of that. I don't want to see the replies. I don't want to be involved.
They will not relent, but it will hunt you down.
Somebody I follow, though, replied to the main post. That's how I seen it. And then I was like, are you kidding me? It was basically Elden Ring is bad, and the reasons are the story's non-existent, the open world's boring, and some other just generic statement. That was the person's tweet, and so people were like, well, no, the story isn't non-existent.
They say I feel Elden Ring is bad because of these things, or Elden Ring's just bad.
Just whatever she said. I don't know. She just said Elden Ring sucks, and gave the reasons. I'm just like,
okay.
And people are like, well, the story isn't there's actually quite a bit of story and lore. So you factually cannot say that's an opinion when it's just an incorrect statement. You could say you don't
well,
like.
You know what? And I bet some of those people are people who gave Breath of the Wild shit for a story, but they defend the shit out of Elden Ring story.
Yeah, well, Elden Ring has, I would say, technically more story since it's a way longer game in my. Well, for me it is. There's more. I guess if you added up everything, every little dialogue and stuff, there's a lot more. But it's still a vague story that's
Yeah, but it's
optional.
not cutscenes in your face. You
There are
gotta.
cutscenes, but not a lot.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
It's not like Horizon where I put the controller down in the beginning every few minutes for long stretches. So it's one of those. If you want more story, that it's there. If you want less story, you don't need it. I mean, you could. I mean,
Metroid Prime.
Exactly. So it was just a stupid post, and then it just always turns into that. But anyway, I guess you might as well give us your Steam Deck impressions. You haven't really said much in the group chat. I seen a tweet today.
But you have to wait for my video. That's why.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You were making a video.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. Yeah. So I'm trying to approach it two different ways. That's what my video is gonna do. One way is like a console gamer's perspective, like just I'm just playing it as a Steam Deck, playing it as a Steam machine, and how was that experience? And then obviously the more PC tweaker experience and how that goes. Like I'm not a big PC tweaker, but I mean I know some stuff on like for instance getting xCloud on your Steam Deck.
I heard it's a pain.
Not really.
No?
Not really.
Or was it not a pain, but they used Xbox used some just had some PC guy kind of write up. It was forget what it was, but it sounded like it was just almost like a Reddit post, and then Xbox just said, yeah, that's the best way. And they
I mean, you can copy and paste because there's some light coding, but you just copy and paste it into the thing, and you're good. So you basically have to like get your if you saw my picture on or the pictures on Twitter, the logo Xbox, all that stuff would just be a gray thing if you didn't do these little extra steps.
Yeah, don't you have to make it like your homepage on the browser or something?
Hmm?
Don't you have to make like the xCloud page like the homepage of the browser?
No, you don't have to do that. I mean, I bet there's probably 5 or 6 different ways to get it to work, and that's just the thing. Like you got to figure out what's the. I think I have the easiest and most efficient way. So to a certain extent, because what you can do, basically, you're putting it in. It's a non-Steam game, the actual application. So you got to download. What is it? Microsoft Edge and Timer. What do I see? What is that? Seeing some weird thing on my screen. Why is it doing that? Weirding me out. Anyway, like you got to download Microsoft Edge onto your. You got to go into desktop mode. That's the thing. You got to go into desktop mode on your Steam Deck and do these things, and you got to use your Steam Deck as if it was a PC, which is that is the extent of like, oh my god, I got to do extra stuff. But it's if I can do it, like I'm not like the craziest tinkerer when it comes to PC stuff. One of the reasons I wanted the Steam Deck was because I was tired of the PC things, PC issues and whatnot. But they're still there. But it is a lot better. So basically, I have 150 or so Steam games. Yo, what happened?
Oh, my mic was muted. Shit.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
What is going on? My TV is... I'm on my TV as a monitor. I can't see anything. Oh, did it just turned
Because it
off?
looks, I mean, the lighting looks better. I don't know what changed, but the lighting looks a little better, a little more natural.
Oh, because I dropped because one of the lights turned off with the TV.
Mm.
That's why. Maybe I got too many lights. Anyway, um, where was I? Oh yeah, I got 150 Steam games, and so I went through um, not all of them, but enough of them to get like a sample size of what actually works. I'd say about 85% of my Steam games work on Steam Deck, and the ones that have the little uh, I don't know what the audience or what you may even know. They have like the little icons for Steam Deck. So when you go to a game, it'll have a little eye, um, a little yellow eye. I think that means supported. And then the green check is verified. So they checked it and they know it works well.
Hmm.
And then there's like the little, what is it called? The little no sign, the little circle with the
Yeah.
line through it. That means unsupported. But even the unsupported games work. It's just they haven't maybe they haven't gotten to them yet to check it, and so they just automatically put them as unsupported. So that way they know they have to at least check it to see if they can get it going. So even the ones that don't work, like I said, I have a few that don't work on or are wonky. You got to do special things. At some point, uh, I don't know if they're gonna get every freaking Steam game to work, but at some point you would think they'll end up working at some point. And that's the thing. That's the best thing to me so far is that this thing gets updated like every couple days, except for when the Valve guys went on vacation. They went on vacation like a couple weeks ago, and so it was like a couple weeks with no updates. But the stuff that I was looking at, like, I don't know if I like that. That's not there. That doesn't do this. All that stuff that I was looking at before I got my Steam Deck is already fixed.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff I was worried about is already gone.
I
Um,
also want to say what's up to Mr.
but
True. He just joined. I seen, I think it was the Wolf Den. He was surprised that, and he thought it would be probably added someday. The touchpads pressing them down didn't work as a mouse click in desktop mode. It works in the Steam OS, I think that way, but not in
yeah,
desktop mode. It's like that's just a little thing. Like why wouldn't they have thought to do that? You know, instead of hitting a trigger, you could just click the like a mouse pad like you're used to.
yeah, and then there's a lot of little things like that that you would think, wow, why didn't I think to do that? Like one thing is a lock screen. I'm like, why didn't I think to do that? And I'm thinking like I'm not going to use a lock screen for my Steam Deck because I don't need it. Like if I lose it, the last thing I'm worried about is somebody accessing my Steam account.
Mm-hmm.
I can go in and
So
because it's
there's
just
no
an
way
extra
to.
step.
It's just somebody find a
But
Steam
they
Deck.
added the lock
Oh,
screen.
did they?
They added one, so I'm like, that's one of those things that man, I'm surprised they didn't do it. But I ended up I'm not even gonna use that. That's something I'm probably not even gonna use.
And if you wanted,
Because
if you were gonna go somewhere and travel, you would mess with that. But
okay,
I think they probably still be able to just reboot. If they still,
yeah,
they probably just do a wipe. There's probably a way just to
right. So
start
I don't think
fresh.
they even the last thing. That's what I'm saying. The last thing people you should be worried about is your Steam
Mm-hmm.
account at that point, because
Does it have like a
whatever.
quick access to like a standby, or do you have to?
Yes, that's one thing I think that didn't work at first, but now it works just like the Switch would. So you could just like, you know, put it to sleep, pop back in, your games work. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So that's to me the coolest thing is seeing how Valve is there. I mean, because they have there's basically you can opt into like these little surveys, or not really a survey, but like at the end of your play session, it'll come up and say, how was your experience?
Yeah.
What could be tweaked? What do you think? That kind of stuff. And it's like, that's cool. That's cool.
They do it now
And
before there's a millions of people. Now they're getting feedback from
exactly.
however.
And I know I'm a beta tester, basically. The first few people are going to be beta testers, but again, my experience so far, even on just the console side, just as a console gamer, I'm just playing this as a Steam box, is pretty good. It is pretty good. Um, Now as a tinkerer, it's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, cause I'm like, what can I do? Like, and it's more like, what can't I do?
Yeah.
Like, I was worried about Epic and I was worried about GOG. You can load those bitches up and play them. You
Really.
play your games natively, no problem. And it, like I said, it goes into your Steam account. If you want to have them individually, those games from GOG and Epic show up in your Steam library as individual games, you can do that. It's a little tinkering, but you can do it. Like you can add all. If you want to add emulators and you want to have Mario Sunshine and all this stuff in your Steam library
Yeah, I seen
as a
that.
Steam game, you can do that. You don't have to go through the launching of the. It's crazy how much you can do
How
with
do
this thing
people figure
already, and
that
it's
shit
just the
out?
beginning.
How do people figure that out so quickly, man? It's just
I
like,
have no idea. I think some of it has to do with the fact that they have been tinkering with like big picture mode for a while
and Linux. They've already
in
made stuff
Linux,
for
right?
Linux.
A lot of guys really the Linux crowd, man, they they're serious about theirs. They love their Linux. They
Yeah, you could
tout
put
from the
Linux on the
rooftop.
PS3 in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. They tout from the rooftops of how much better Linux is and all that stuff. And I'm like,
So,
you
what's
guys
been
love your Linux.
your experience with some of the game? What are some of the bigger games you've played?
The biggest game I played is probably that's when I was like, yeah, this shit is amazing. What was it? Jedi Fallen Order. Because I'm waiting on my SD card. That's another thing. Obviously, your card fills up, your drive fills up pretty quickly. I have
Yeah.
40 games on it, so it's not like I don't have that many games. I have 40 games on it. I mostly stay away from like the huge like 40 or not 40 to 50 gigs plus.
Yeah,
Jedi
Horizon's
Fallen
like
Order is like
100 probably.
47. That's like the only one that I have that's like that's in the 40s or 50 gigs. Um, I'm waiting for my card to get. I'm getting a terabyte. And they showed that speeds are comparable to an SSD, and then sometimes the shit was faster than an SSD.
Well,
I'm
that's
like,
one of the seems to be the
it's crazy.
general quote unquote complaints is that the SSD performance is not something's holding it back, and they don't. Digital Foundry was talking about it. And, somebody else mentioned it, and they're just like, it doesn't make sense. It's an SSD. It's got a Ryzen CPU, whatever gen it is, and it should be at least close to like PS5 and Series X, and it's right now it isn't. So they don't know what they're.
I guarantee you, these are all software things. These are all software things that Valve, for whatever reasons, because I'm like, I plug it in. I literally just got my dock, the USB hub. It was like $24. And I wanted to test it because I figured we'd be talking about it. And it plugged in, and I think it some people, they plug their in. It depends on which one you have. They plug it in. They have to tweak it to get it to show up on their monitor. I plug mine in, pop right up on my monitor. So it just depends. It is a PC,
Mm-hmm.
right? So at the end of the day, everybody's experience or situations are gonna vary. Um, but like you got to go in and tweak the resolution. Because well, once you do, because the Steam Deck, the screen on this is 800 p, 12, what is it, 1280 by, what is it?
I'm not sure if it's
But
1200 something
it's
by 800, but something like close to that.
12. What is the standard for 720? Is it 1280 by
1280
720?
sounds right, but I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it sounds right, but it also sounds wrong. But anyway, instead of that, it's 12 whatever by 800. So it's technically 800p screen. It's 16 by 10, which I don't think I've even heard of before. 16 by 10, so it's a little taller, like top to bottom. 16 by 10 instead of 16 by 9, which we all know. So there's going to be some kind of quirks with that when it comes to hooking up a monitor, and you have to go in and do all that. But they just did the update, which allows you to go not just 60 or 30, but you can go between 30 and 60. So you can go or frames per second. So you can go to 40 frames, and 40 frames is actually really nice. It's almost impossible to tell the difference when you have, because you have games that are, quote unquote 60 frames per second, but they drop down to 44 and whatnot. But if you lock your resolution on your screen on your Steam Deck at 40 hertz or whatever, it can actually be smoother than if you put it at 60.
Yeah,
because the games aren't locked.
We'll talk. There's some cool stuff come out from PlayStation 5 adding the variable refresh rate that showing some cool stuff with some games that they actually patched, showing basically it shows all the headroom that some of these games had, but they had to lock it at 60 because it would drop to 60, just like a lot of people will say there's games where it's like just lock it at 30 if it's gonna be hovering in the 40s, low 50s, high 40s or low 40s. Just make it a 30 FPS. Don't even call it a 60 FPS if you're in the 40s.
Right.
Just cap it at 30. Well, with 120 hertz displays, 40 is actually better than
40's better,
50 or 30 because 40 is a third of a, so it's a better
because it fits into 120 evenly. And so I'm like, damn, I didn't even think about any of this stuff until this situation
popped up.
Elden
Ring had a 40 lock because it spends a lot of time in there on the PS5, and it's like it's when it goes back up, you notice it. But anyway, that's some cool stuff. So
I don't want to get into the woods with that
stuff. Jedi Fallen Order. Have you played that before? I don't remember you.
No, this is the first time I played it. I actually have it on Xbox, but I have not opened it yet. And I got something. I think, was it the Humble Bundle that I got it in? I don't think it was that, but it was like really cheap. I think it was like I saw it for like super crazy, because those Steam sales are ridiculous. I think it was like $10 or something.
Yeah, I think I paid 12 on PlayStation Plus sale. I still haven't started it, but
it was just some sale. I'm like, that's a game I wanted to get it. I knew I wanted to get it to see because I know it has some cool effects and whatnot. This would like be a showcase, to me, of how the Steam Deck would be. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that. And it looks so freaking good on deck, man. It looks beautiful.
I gotta make sure my cat's not about to knock my Pyra.
I only played like the first area. Have you played it?
No, I've watched like the first hour, or not hour, like first half hour of the game. Honestly,
I think that's what I played. I played like the first half hour. I'm on the train or whatever right now. So, but it looks fantastic, and that's the thing I think you notice immediately as a Switch guy, especially if you're playing handheld versus playing on the Steam Deck handheld, because it's just like it's night and day. Visually night and day. Especially as a guy who plays Witcher 3 on Switch. Did you try the
Witcher 3?
I have not yet, but I've seen people and seen how good it looks.
Because some people were saying the OLED screen makes the Steam Deck screen look a little. The colors.
That's what I was expecting, and I'm like, this screen looks fucking good to me. I don't.
But I have no. Probably does.
I don't know what the OLED looks like, but
I think they said the color saturation and it's really evident the lack of black, but still, that's against the OLED, and the OLED isn't doing anything with the games. Like it's not taking advantage of that screen except
It's not. I'm trying to see if I can get in here real quick. You're not going to be able to tell.
And then
screen of the screen.
At this point, it sounds like there's probably going to be a lot of YouTube traffic for people looking at optimized settings for Steam Deck for games.
Yeah.
So somebody's just going to be like,
I watch those videos all the time, and those videos are getting mad hits right now.
You want 3 hours on The Witcher 3? This is what you do. If you're okay with 2 hours battery life, this is what you do. If you want max quality at 60, this is what you do. They do all the work and they get the views and get the money, but it's so much better than trying to. Because when I started playing on PC,
this I don't like.
What?
Fucking loading into Origin every time I want to play.
Yeah. Fuck yay.
Oh, so there is some quirks. Like, let me see. So I bought a little mini keyboard
Yeah.
with the obviously that's the mouse pad over there. Because some of the games you will run into issues with
Because
being
it
able
thinks it's a
to
PC, so it wants you to type.
right. It wants to do and there. I mean, like I said, it was uh that stuff was worse. It they're constantly making that better, making that situation better. So you can use these touchpads, which are really cool because they're tactile. They're like haptic. So
Yeah.
when you rub across it, it feels like you're scrolling a wheel
Mm-hmm.
because you have the
That's
kind of
rad.
audio and the audio cue and the kind of vibration. It's pretty cool.
Were you as impressed with the sound quality as everybody?
That's what I was about to say.
Because it.
I've never had a device this small, even like a laptop, have audio this freaking good. Like I was blown away by how good the audio is in this thing.
So
I don't understand how is this good.
my Razer phone has Dolby Atmos. It's the
Yeah.
Razer Phone 2, and I showed it from when I first got it. I played the little demo for my buddy. He spent like $300 on Dolby Atmos headphones for his Xbox, and he says it still didn't sound as good as your phone. So this phone doesn't have the best
Damn.
camera. It has lots of negatives, but it can trick your ear like this little thing here.
Yeah.
It's I mean even I'm not even facing it, and it sounds so good to me while it's coming through the mic. The little Dolby Atmos. So yeah, I would be curious
Man,
to
look
hear
at
the
that
Steam Deck
fidelity.
compared
It's
to my
hard to
phone.
tell, but it's so good. It's so good,
What
man.
did you got it at capped at anything, or you been just like going all out?
Right now, no, I'm just using the again, and like I said, I wanted to do the console gamer thing. I'm just gonna plug it in and play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to do that, but then I'm gonna go back and do the tweaker stuff. And this stand is actually a third party 3DS stand that I bought, charging stand,
Yeah.
and I barely ever use it. And I was like, oh, shit fits right down in there.
I was gonna say hidden cost.
Yeah, hidden
Look at
cost.
all the hidden cost.
There's a
Keyboard,
lot of hidden
hub.
costs if you want it to be. Like obviously the keyboard, you don't need it, but you kind of need
How
it.
good does that little thing
Um,
work? Because that's kind of cool.
but most people have. You can just use your keyboard in your house. You know,
If
your
you have a
computer.
Bluetooth keyboard, you could, which I
You don't
don't.
even need a Bluetooth keyboard. If you have, like I said, if you have the USB hub, you can just plug in a keyboard.
Yeah.
It works. So, um, but yeah, I'm clearly I'm having a ball,
It's
and
one of those
I'm
things too.
amazed
Like
by this thing.
I remember when I got my PS5, I spent the first day just installing every game, and then booting them up to to see how quick the loading times were. To see some of the games had 60 FPS mode. I got nothing really accomplished for like the first week. I was
Right.
just
It takes a while. That's where I'm kind of there, where it's just like there's so much shit that I need to do that I want to do that I haven't gotten to. I've only had it since Saturday, so and I went. Me and the family went to Six Flags on Sunday, so I haven't really had a whole lot of time to mess with it. Uh, but when I do, I'm gonna be PS2, PS, what is it called? The PSP. Definitely gonna be putting that on there. I mean, I'm gonna put GameCube on just to see what it's like, you know, because I've seen some cool stuff
yeah.
with the Dolphin emulator and whatnot. I already have every game on GameCube that
I
I
wonder how
want, so it's
the
just like
I never emulated
emulating
a
it is only
GameCube
a
game with
convenience.
the button layout would be a little tricky unless you just customize it. Obviously, you can just customize the buttons,
Yeah,
but
that's another thing. Like that's a PC thing that you would normally have to worry about. Like like if you're running emulators, you have to go in and like customize your button late and all that shit. You don't got to do that shit anymore. There's this there's this app called is it EmuDeck? Does it all for you for every system.
oh yeah,
Just load it up and it does it. It does all the configurations for you, and it's just crazy. It's crazy how good like that stuff has gotten that I didn't even realize. So
do you see yourself like buying a Steam version of Horizon Forbidden West or like some of your favorite games?
no,
But that one's
no,
100 gig. That's a big game, so that would be a bad
yeah,
option.
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna worry about that as much as far as size of games, especially once I get my terabyte card.
Yeah.
But um, a lot of those games I'm still just gonna want to play on a console. But like I said, the xCloud stuff, that is a very cool thing. I can sit here, play my Xbox Series X game, and then leave and continue that same game on Steam Deck. Like that's
And I bet that screen's pretty good for streaming because I wasn't too impressed with the XCloud on my TV. I actually I
yeah.
preferred the One S version of
Yeah, I mean
Forza.
you can definitely notice this kind of splotchiness of it, the ashiness
Yeah.
of some of the stream, but especially on that screen, like you said, on this screen, it looks great, it looks phenomenal.
You know, speaking of handhelds, and there's a guy here who loves handheld gaming. He hasn't said anything yet, but
There he is,
and he's got
folks.
an Xbox, so I mean, he could.
Get a Steam Deck, son. You need one.
Now you just want me to spend money on everything, goddamn. All right,
I
listen.
mean, you might as well. You
I,
got three.
I'm not.
Switches.
I'm not. Listen, I'm not out here ball. No, I have.
Well,
I only
you
have
don't
two
have to pay
Switches.
for it until you're not
You
going to
could
get
sell
it
your
until
other Switch
December or
and
later.
then
So.
for $100 more, get a Steam Deck, get the base one, and have it in 2 years.
Yeah, you can emulate all your Switch games
No,
on it anyway.
well, no.
So.
Listen, I thought Juice would be the first one to get it. All right, he's looking for a better handheld experience than the Switch.
Honestly,
Come on,
if it
now.
wasn't for the button layout, this doesn't look like it's gonna work for my old arthritic hands. But
Really,
that's because you shared it, I think, in the chat last year. At least that's what I remember. That Juice, you were the one that
that was the first thing that jumped out at me was that it looked pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that, and I was like, ooh, that don't look good to me. And god damn it, if it don't feel fucking phenomenal, it feels great, man. It's like, it's like having because we all love the gamepad for the most part, and it feels like that, but a little bit smarter because the buttons, again, are across, and you would think that doesn't feel good. That feels great. You just slide your hand across from the analog sticks.
I think it would suck for like Mario Kart. We got to hold A the whole time or something. Like a game where you have to hold the face button would probably.
Yeah, but my hand fits. It just sits there.
Oh yeah.
It feels good right there. The buttons are nice and clicky. The only people have complained about these, like the Steam button and the I don't know what they call this. I'll just call it the settings button. They're kind of squishy, but I think they did that on purpose because they don't want you accidentally, if you're using the touchpads, to hit these buttons if they're clicky. So I think that was a PS because your hands naturally want to sit there anyway, when you're holding it. So I think that was a smart design. I don't know, because I saw people went in and actually changed the buttons themselves to make them clicky. I'm like,
yeah, you don't need
stuff
a clicky
that people
button
are doing.
Just like the home button on any controller, it doesn't need to be clicky.
Yeah, it's not like an action button. If it was an action button, then I'd be like,
yeah.
And same thing with these. There's a little bit harder press on these. These aren't supposed to be action buttons. If you use the back buttons, if you're gonna program them, the programmable buttons, you gotta push them down a little bit more. So you don't accidentally slip and hit them. And because you're holding that the whole time, you're holding these buttons.
Yeah.
But you don't press them really. With the way it sits in your hand.
Uncle Terrell.
he keeps pushing. The dude's gotten too strong. He's actually like strong enough to push the door open off a straight will now.
My nephew used to like flip every light switch on and off constantly when he was like first couple years, and it drove everybody insane. And we just thank God he grew out of it. It's just luckily kids find the dangest things to obsess about.
Luckily, he isn't tall enough to reach the light switch, but he is tall enough to reach the door, so you'll get a lot of and then sometimes he'll walk up to the door and
Terrell's like,
open the door again.
Get out! I'm vacuuming.
He doesn't care.
Scary movie reference.
He just likes opening and shutting doors.
I just got that reference.
Oh shit!
Get out, Ma! I'm vacuuming. I told you never to come in while I'm vacuuming my room.
Oh shit! Oh my goodness. He's literally gonna keep putting
So
those
Terrell,
buttons.
Is that
it's
the first one?
official.
Yeah,
You're
Scary
keeping the
Movie 1.
Series X. You bought It took you a minute to buy Sonic Unleashed, but I knew you would.
Well, no, I had ordered it,
Weak.
but it was on back order.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was only like $17. It wasn't expensive. Um, I so that's my first time playing the 360 version. I want that to be stated. Sonic Unleashed, for those who don't know, has two versions. It has the 360 PS3 version, and then has the Wii and PS2 version. And those two versions do not play the same at all. Hell, the Wii version and PS2 version is missing like a couple stages, and is not as balanced between day and nighttime stages. So that was my first time playing it. I missed the Wii version. Not gonna lie to you.
Really?
I missed the Wii version.
What does the Wii version got that?
It's not even that what it's got. It just, I feel like it controls better, and it also just doesn't have some of the bullshit that I don't care for. I'll give you an example. In the Wii version, you just go stage to stage, and you're awarded moon or sun medals when you finish a stage. In 360 PS3, you have to collect them within the stage. Now, for the warehouse levels, perfectly cool, because the warehouse levels are these slow ass beat 'em up God of War sections. But imagine if you've seen gameplay of the day sections in Sonic Unleashed, you are going like a million miles fucking per hour. I'm not about to stop in the middle of the level and go, hold on, let me get this coin real quick. I'm like, fuck that. That's insane. Also, Sonic controls loose as a bitch, and I'm not used to. And I guess the last thing
Even
that
with the 60 FPS, it still don't control great, huh?
it's just very loose. And the third thing is this, and this is something that certain Sonic fans have debated. They changed the homing attack button. I think this is the only game to do that. So no any other Sonic game, you hit the A button to jump, and then you hit it again, the homing attack on enemy. And this is the only game I know of that you hit the A button to jump, and you have to hit the X button to homing attack. And I'm not used to the 360 control layout, so when the quick time events come up, I'm like, fuck, I don't know these buttons nowhere near as well as I know
Top
like
button.
the PlayStation.
Oh wait, that's the side button. Never mind.
And
Been
I'm
a
like,
while.
fuck. So yeah, it looks gorgeous. I'll say that. It looks gorgeous. That engine holds up insanely well. Visually, shit. That is a Sega, you knew what you were doing by the engine as far as visuals are concerned. But God, I missed the Wii version. I actually went back and played
How'd
the
you
Wii
play
version.
the Wii version? Nunchuck sideways or what?
No,
I mean, Wiimote sideways? Or
nunchuck side. Oh, the nunchuck,
Nunchuck
like
sideways?
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Hold on, let me break out the nunchuck.
That's weird.
Let me hold the
the Wii
nunchuck.
remote.
There it is.
Or did you
I'm gonna
play
nunchuck this bitch sideways, baby. Jaeger. No, it's Wiimote nunchuck.
You're a gangster for that.
Or you could play it with GameCube controller, which was like the other great thing about it. It was actually programmed for both. I played it Wiimote nunchuck because that's the first time I played it.
I
Plus
feel
that,
like that was a good method for most games that needed analog movement or 2D.
Yeah.
Like I was fine with Wii Remote Nunchuck for almost
Wiimote
everything.
nunchuck is one of those things that doesn't look like it would have worked, and then you start playing, you're like, "Fuck, this is natural as hell."
Even
I
without
don't
the
know.
pointer, I was happy playing like that.
Yeah, it's weird, but and I'll give Sega credit. Sega treated the Werehog stages as glorified boxing stages, so you actually had to punch forward for each fist and shit. I gave them credit. They used to share the Wiimote, and if you didn't want to do that, you just pull out your GameCube controller and say, "Fuck this! I'm playing I'm playing this like a real controller now." Most people prefer the 360 version because it's faster. It looks better, and there's a couple of day stages that get completely left out of the PS2 Wii version.
Does the Wii version have the grinding on the back of a whale stage?
Yeah. Grinding on back of well.
It looked like a whale. I don't know. I was watching John Cartwright's video about Xbox backwards compatibility. It looked like a whale.
Yeah.
Sonic
The only two stages it's missing is Empire City and something else. There's another city, but like, yeah, the one you're talking about, yeah, the Wii version has it. The Wii version actually looks pretty good, all things considered. It just
Well, the Wii was capable of basically SD. Well, it depends on the game. It couldn't do like I was talking to Robert because he was talking about not Umbrella Chronicles, whatever Resident Evil game he played on the Wii.
no, I thought it was.
It
Oh no, it's
Dark Side Chronicles or something.
No, no, it is Umbrella Chronicles. It's
That's
like
the first
it's
one, but he played like Dark Side.
Oh yeah, you
And
are
he's
talking
like,
about
yeah,
Dark
this
Side
something
Chronicles.
looks like a 360 game. Like, yeah, well, you're not moving the camera around. If you're controlling a third-person game, you're probably gonna be struggling at 30 FPS with how
Oh,
good.
you're right, Donnie. It was Atabat. That was the other stage it missed off. Yeah. Yeah, Lenny, that's the problem. When you're used to playing Nintendo controllers, the ABXY shit is flipped, and my brain could not. It's not ingrained in me. So any of those quick time events, I'm fucking screwed no matter what.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, unlike the Wii version that just had you hit A 6 times, the fucking 360 version is like A B X Y. I got those fucking tail stages that you don't actually shoot the plane normally. It's A B X Y. I'm like, fuck, I'm about to lose all these
That's what
stages.
happens when you wait so long to be to play on a different platform. Because
Yeah.
I can jump. I
Even
mean, I
now,
have to look down at, like, if I haven't played Xbox in a while, I have to look down a couple times just to get my bearings. But then it comes right back.
Well, it's weird because PlayStation, I didn't have that problem, and I played PlayStation later. I didn't pick up a PlayStation until PlayStation 2, and that transition wasn't too bad.
It's
It's
complete.
just,
Other
but the
than the X
Xbox,
button, it's a completely different button, so your brain isn't getting tricked with
but
like.
you're
yeah,
still
but
impressionable at that point. Your brain was still accepting of different things.
oh,
When
that
you get
happened.
older, you're like, no, this isn't right.
Yeah, I was playing when I was playing Psychonauts, I did that twice where I was like, oh, I hit the A button twice, and then I hold it down to do the glide maneuver, and I
Mm.
hit the A button twice and realized I threw a punch, and then I fell off the damn stage and went fuck. I forgot which button. I forgot what button the damn jump
It
button
helps
was.
if you
God,
can stop thinking of the button names and just know the placement, because then it doesn't matter. I can jump from Rocket League from
I
three
was in the
different
middle.
platforms and not have to think about it because I'm just same. It's the same location, just with a different
Yeah,
name.
even on Steam Deck, like I'll think because A is like you like say if I was in Steam and I wanted to play a game, A is how you select it, right? You hit A, that selects it, but it's in a different fucking place than I'm used to because I've been playing Nintendo for so long. So I end up fucking backing out of the goddamn application all the time, hitting B because
Yeah,
I'm thinking I'm
see,
hitting A.
Well,
it's,
mine.
it's
What throws me is in the keyboard typing. On PlayStation,
Mm,
the space is, I believe, triangle, and on Switch it's like the Y button, which is and it's like I
yeah,
keep, and then I end up like backing out of both of them because my brain is just not. I cannot just like quickly if I'm jumping back and forth to between systems. But I've been on PlayStation for quite a while. Probably basically last month. That's all I've been using. So I'm used to it. But if I went back to Switch and tried to type a tweet or something on that, I would constantly be backing out and yeah, that can get you.
yeah, it's just weird. It's an Xbox will always be the worst because I didn't really start using an Xbox controller until maybe like a year ago, and now it's like for
mm,
like low key ass RPGs or like slower paced games, like fucking Psychonauts, I could take my time to some degree. Sonic, I gotta make like quick movements in like the blink of an eye, and he's like, shit, I'm in midair and I need the homing attack. Fuck, I hit the damn ground pound button. I'm falling to my death. Shit, why didn't I jump? And this is the one game I would have been like, please make the damn homing attack button the same button as jump. It would have been so easy. Nah, you gotta hit the X button. Fuck, where's the X button at? Duh.
Or they could just make a game without that trash lock-on targeting bullshit.
Well, they're not gonna. They've been doing that since I guess SA1 technically, or 3D Blast has a power up
like
that does
Journey of
that.
To me,
Dreams or like
that was a
Way
band-aid
to
fix for Sonic's first game in 3D, and now it's just a staple of the Sonic games.
Well, it's become more of a style thing than a like
I mean,
centering
I
yourself
used it
thing.
when it's there. I use it in Lost
Because
World.
like because like in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, you used it mainly to kind of just redirect yourself so you didn't like fall off a platform. It was a good way of saving yourself. And then in later games, it was like, guys, you know what would be cool if you just fucking could hit an enemy in the air and keep going. Now we're gonna do that again for 10 more years. Oh, fuck it. I
Man,
guess
see,
we'll
you
just
got
keep
me
it
wanting
now.
some Jimmy John's.
Dude, I haven't had Jimmy John's in a minute.
You got me craving Jimmy John's. Eating that sandwich.
oh my bad.
Quality
Not
Jimmy
even eat
John's.
on, man. I'm hungry.
Listen. Jimmy John's is goated. We fuck with Jimmy John's heavy.
I think one of the first Jimmy John's that, I don't know if it was just in Michigan, was in Western Michigan University campus. and this first time I had it was like 20 something years ago. I don't know if that was just the first one in Michigan or like one of the first ones ever, or at all. I don't know where that franchise started, but it was an old ass. But we went there. My buddy, I was going to school there. He's like, Jimmy John's. He just kept saying Jimmy John's. Like, what the fuck's Jimmy John's? And we go there. It's like, damn, that's some good ass bread. Now we have two in my city. So
Anyway, I didn't even start eating it until maybe
What kind of place is it?
maybe 5 years old. 5 years ago,
you
I
don't have
started
a
eating
Jimmy
it.
John's there?
Nah,
It's a cold subs.
it's probably a Midwest thing, bro.
No, I have it down here in Georgia.
Oh, you got it in Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cold subs. Really good.
Now, to be
bread,
fair, it's kind of recent in Georgia. It's only probably been here maybe like
though. It's almost
6 years.
The sub buns are almost like a French loaf, but not a crunchy one. And it's just
Yeah,
really good bread.
I was
fresh.
pleasantly surprised.
It's good.
I fuck with it heavy. I also sometimes don't want to spend the money for
Gargantuan with bacon's like $11. That's
Yeah.
But
I
anyway,
low-key think
You
it's
have
worth it.
Sonic over there?
Yes.
we have a Sonic in Grand Rapids.
Yes.
I've never went though.
Yeah.
Listen, I have rediscovered my love for Sonic in the last year because I used to think it was all right. I fuck with it heavy, low key now.
Good. Do they still do the girls coming out on
Yeah,
roller skates? They still
it's
do
not.
that?
But here's the thing: it's not at every one. Like I
all
know
don't have it. Yeah.
I have 3 in my area that I've gone to, and 2 of them do it. So
Not just girls, everybody.
well, yeah, gender equality.
I just had my
course.
first Chick-fil-A like a month ago.
Wait, what?
It's only been open about 8 months or so.
So wait, that was your first time having
And
Chick-fil-A?
I got the deluxe sandwich, and I had it again. It's amazing.
Dude, Chick-fil-A is a whole problem.
And the
dog.
waffle fries are.
Yes,
And that honey
sir.
mustard, goddamn.
Yes, sir. So good.
But
It's so-
anyway, let's get back
I gotta
to-
watch them.
You're talking about Sonic Unleashed. I wanna.
the fast food podcast, y'all.
Listen. Everybody eats. Everybody can relate. You've had a fast food joint at some point in your life. God damn it.
But John
but
Cartwright of Good Vibe Gaming, who I don't know why he just doesn't do his own thing, because he basically does his own. He was running Nintendo Life after he left Game Explain, and now he's part of Good Vibes. But he just does his own little unique videos, and they're just really the only thing I watch by them. And he did one on like the Xbox's. I don't know if it was not Hidden Gem or what. It's just their killer feature. And he was talking about all the backwards compatibility. He reminds me of Clocked It a lot, because he's talking about all these old Saturn games that were on the original on the Xbox.
I want him to say because he's British.
A lot
That's
of
what I
these
want him to
Japanese
say.
games and stuff, and he's like testing them out on his Series X for the backwards compatibility. And he's like, a lot of these, not a lot, but some have FPS boost, some have resolution increases, and and then he would like say, he would show like Jet Set Radio or whatever the Xbox One was. Why doesn't this work? And he's it's a really cool video, but he's just he's found just a ton of games, and to him, he could just own the Series X just for that purpose, just to keep playing all these games. Obviously, he already had the games. He's not going out and buying all this now. He already had all these games, and it was a really cool video. But I was thinking, and I even commented, I was like, imagine watching this video being a Series S owner, because basically the whole point of the video is like you don't have access to this other than the few that are on Game Pass, and some I think you can purchase. And I was just like, yeah, that is a killer feature. And it just, like I said, I think last week or the week before, just having a disk drive on the Series S, it would have been a bigger system, but then you could still have all that, and of course a Series S owner took offense to that, but I was just like, just like, that would suck if you
you could always emulate all that shit on your Series S.
You could, but so I was curious. I was like, what about a external disk drive? You got the USB ones now, and no, that was it's not supported. It will function. It powers on. It just doesn't read it. And then the PS5 digital is the same thing. It's like, why? Like, and then Clackton and I had a little debate about it. He's like, well, it's a digital console. Why do you need a disk drive? Well, it would be a cool little thing. Hey, you bought the Series S or the PS5 digital. You happen to have an Ultra HD disk drive. Yeah, now you can play your PS4 games or whatever. You know, you can install them and play them. You know, like I don't see that as being a negative. I almost feel it's a little bit anti-consumer if they purposely make it
It's an option.
so those don't work.
I do want to quickly mention this. It's kind of off topic, but kind of not. So we were talking about fast food places, and we were also talking about Sonic Unleashed. And I'm scrolling on Twitter, and I see a picture of someone being like deleted scene from Sonic the Movie 2, and it's a picture of Sonic at Sonic. He's like, "Oh shit, that's me." I'm gonna post that posting that in the group chat. That shit had me in tears. I just thought that was perfect timing. I'm also glad that movie did well, all things considered. That's the other thing.
Isn't it the highest grossing video game
Pretty-
movie in the U.S.?
It's as a Sonic fan, I was pretty happy.
Happy about that.
I was pretty. Because it's a better film that celebrates the game. I'm just happy that it's a proper. Oh, by the way, speaking of movies and video game movies, some details of the Mario movie leaked.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I didn't. Know about that.
I skimmed maybe the first part of it. Based off the summary, it doesn't sound. It doesn't. I'm not gonna say what it is.
It's not a.
But
they're not in a real world, are they?
No.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
There is musicals. There are songs,
Oh
and
no.
it's. I will say, story wise, I don't have a problem with it, but
You do love
It's
your
like-
spoilers, don't you? I would.
No, it wasn't even intentional, dog. I'm just scrolling on
Certain
Nintendo.
things I don't
like,
care about, but something like that I would never.
I didn't look. I didn't look at the. Listen, I didn't go through the
if
whole
it was
thing. I
Sonic
went-
movie, would you have looked?
Probably.
Yeah, you get.
I probably.
You're the guy who
would've.
opened his presents early, so you can't.
It's
be
just.
trusted.
But I would just
Little
say,
hole in it.
if we're talking about base plot description, it sounds fine. It sounds fine / promising, but it's very much gonna boil down to those fucking performances.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna spoil what they've implied how Chris and was it Charlie Day are gonna play him. I'm not gonna spoil that, but just it's gonna come down to that. I already know that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a make it or break it.
And it's clearly it's real because what happened with they've been doing something. They've been trying to hide it. Nintendo,
Yeah, they have.
but Illumination and whatnot. They've been trying to
Yeah.
so it must be true. It's not like it's a
Yeah, like from what I heard, because I
rumor.
didn't, like I said, I didn't go all the way through the spoilers. But when I read the comments, they were like, "Bro, this is the whole fucking movie." So I said, "Oh shit, I need to stop."
Yeah.
but it's the whole. From what I heard, it's the whole damn plot of the film.
My expectations are low. So same as they were with Sonic.
I mean, that's a fair position to take because you don't want to play the game and get burned just because things have been.
I will say I did like Chris Pratt mostly in the Lego movies. I didn't see the second one, but the first.
I
one.
like Chris Pratt in general.
I
It's
thought he
just
was pretty good.
I like him in pretty much everything.
So, and honestly, I'm not a fan of the Sonic's voice actor. I like the guy. I like the person, but I don't care.
Are you talking about
I don't care for
Ben
his voice.
Schwartz?
Yeah, I don't care for his voice at all. I find him quite annoying in the.
Well, it's
Sonic
weird
movies.
because they use one of the game voice actors for Tails, but for some reason said, I guess
You
we gotta
have
get
a
this new
star.
one.
They feel like they gotta have a star, somebody that
I mean, but-
people know. That's
But arguably, I would say Idris Elba's a bigger star than Ben
is.
Schwartz. I would personally.
Well,
So I'm
yeah.
like,
and
so I'm
he,
like,
do
he
that after the
petitioned
success
for
of
it
the
because he's a
first
big
movie.
fan, so he really wanted to do it. So it made it kind of just like Henry Cavill with The Witcher for
Right.
Netflix show. I'm a little more. I'm hopeful of Chris Pratt. Then I think he'll be better than Ben Schwartz as Sonic.
yeah, you just need to hear it. Like I just need a trailer.
Charlie Day
Realistically,
can be a little much though, so we'll see.
it depends on how
He has
animated
they have
they want to be.
I don't know.
I think he would be a fine voice actor. He's a little much as a actor.
Yeah, they don't know when to cut him off. He's almost like Kevin Hart. It's like less is more.
Yeah, I would agree. It's all gonna, like I said, I think, but I would agree. I think Charlie Day probably works better as a voice actor. That animated, like feel of him works better as a voice actor, voicing a character that can match that energy
Yeah.
versus just him just fucking being overly animated in real life. It just doesn't hit the same way.
Samuel in the chat says he wants a Donkey Kong Country movie that parallels Pineapple Express.
You know
I watched
why
the
he
movie
does that?
once, and
He's only saying
Pineapple Express.
You know why?
I'm not a big
Just
drug
because
humor guy. I don't
just
like
because
stoner
Seth Rogen
culture.
is voicing DK
But Danny
doesn't mean
McBride
you need
is
that
hilarious, and playing King K. Rool might be funny.
Oh yeah, he's funny in pretty much everything. That guy's.
I never got a good voice for King K. Rool though. Like I don't know what he would
it's
sound
hard to,
like.
You never know until you hear it. It's like, who would have thought? I'm trying to think of voice actors. It's like, who would have thought that a person been good? But then you hear them, and it's like, I can't imagine anybody else. You know?
Oh, wait, Justin Timberlake is fucking.
Oh, you mean
Boo Boo.
like Master Chief?
I always think of Justin Timberlake as Boo Boo. That shit threw me off when I first heard it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty fucking close. If y'all have ever seen the Yogi live action, Justin Timberlake's Boo Boo is
pretty good.
It's way better than you would think it would.
Yeah.
It's like it's fucking Justin Timberlake. No, it's just better. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. You never
movie
know
wasn't
until
great,
you,
but
until,
Jesus.
until you hear. I didn't know the voice actor for
Talented
Dina
little
in
shit.
The Last of Us Part 2 is the girl from that HBO show with the robots, Westworld. She was like the spunky FBI agent or whatever, or I don't know if it was FBI. And then she's voiced one of the main characters in Last of Us Part 2. I was like, oh, now that I see her, yeah, that's her. I definitely can hear the voice now, but I didn't know that till like 2 weeks ago.
Also, side note, Donnie, if I remember right, isn't Samuel Jackson in that weird kung fu dog and cat film I saw trailers for when I went to go see Sonic? It's like this really, and it's him and Michael Cera, and he's just playing this like master cat, and Michael Cera is playing this dog, and I'm just like, this seemed low budget as fuck. How did you get these high profile actors? I'm gonna show y'all the trailer after
It's
we're
like
done.
that. Rest in peace, Sean Connery.
Yeah.
He after League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he basically retired. That experience was so bad, he retired.
Sucked.
But he comes back for this shitty CG movie, and it's just like, what? How did they get you to voice this character?
The thing is,
a
lot of those voice actors don't watch the shit. I've heard a lot of voice actors don't even watch the shows or movies they're in. They're just in a booth.
Sean Connery comes out of retirement to be in Nutmeg or some shit, some horrible animated film. It's just like, it's barely animated.
Lionheart 4.
It's terrible.
Also, yeah, Donnie, you're right. Yeah, he does. For some reason, it's Samuel Jackson playing a cat Sifu.
Is Michael? Who'd you say? Michael Cera?
Yeah.
Which one is he? The guy from Ant-Man?
No, he's the one from Superbad.
Michael Cera.
That guy. Yes, I know who he is.
Or from Year One with Jack Black, right?
Year One.
What the fuck else? He's been in a couple.
This is the end.
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, it's him.
I mean, he could be all right.
He's good in the right role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's one of those ones that fits certain roles. He doesn't fit every role. But the movie just looks like a fucking direct-to-DVD film, and they're like, and I'm like, Samuel Jackson and Michael, who the fuck? How much did you pay?
That's where the entire budget went. You look at the fucking movie, it's garbage.
Robert told me that Avatar trailer is gonna play for Doctor Strange this weekend, but then they're not.
Nobody cares about Avatar.
Then they're not gonna release the Avatar for a week after.
I keep hearing about how nobody cares about Avatar 2.
I got excited when I saw the photos of the first photos that were shown. I was like,
lose your motherfucking mind.
But anyway, before Terrell derailed that
sidetrack.
It wasn't intentional. I didn't
have much to say. I was just kind of curious what you guys both own Series X's, and now that Terrell, you've used the backwards compatibility. I was just wondering what you thought of
it's a smooth
feature for the Series S. I think for me that could have been enough to get me to like maybe buy one for my theater room or something. If it just
that's kind of the thing with Xbox. I've learned just having it over a little bit over a month at this point. It very much lives and dies by two things. If you own another like PlayStation, or primarily PlayStation would be the direct competitor, but even like a Switch or a PC, if you don't have another mainline console, this isn't really an argument, but if you have like a PlayStation or a PC that plays the same games that it does, and the PC can play it better technically, what is the Xbox's best feature? And I would say it's a combination of Game Pass and backwards compatibility. It's one of the, unlike the Switch, it doesn't punish you for being a fan of the brand. If you're an Xbox fan, you will reward it through it supporting Xbox no matter what generation it was. Whereas if you were a Wii U owner, you got punished by owning a Switch. You got pressed like a motherfucker.
And you like,
And the Game Pass thing is convenient. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's a fucking revolving door where certain games drop off, and you have to be like, well, fuck, you better play, I don't know, Yakuza 2.
yeah, because Witcher 3 is not on there anymore, and I started that on Game Pass. I mean, that was last year, so I mean, that's my fault for not keeping it.
It's like, why even put a game like Witcher 3 on there? That fucking game's so long. You can only play that, and what's the point of having all these other games?
You know, the one
they're gonna be gone by the time you finish Witcher 3.
You know the one that I wanted to play, and it pissed me off at how it's put on Game Pass. So I finished Yakuza 0. I want to say, was it either last year or the year before last? And I was like, well, fuck it, I got Game Pass. Let's see if the first Yakuza remaster's on here. Well, the Yakuza remastered collection is on here, but what games in the collection? 3, 4, and 5. And I'm like, motherfucker. So I can't even. Who the fuck is like, dog? I think I should get into Yakuza. I guess you better start with 3 on Game Pass. Like, what the fuck? I'm so pissed.
Yeah, they should give you 1 and then make you think, oh, maybe I'll buy the 2 and 3 because they're not on here. You know, get you started with the first one to entice you to buy.
And here's the kicker: the newest Yakuza's on there, Like a Dragon and the 6th game.
Dragon. It's still on there.
Yes, I'm like, what the fuck? So I can play the newest titles. But if I wanted to go back and play the remasters that Sega just did like a year or 2 ago, I think, I go buy them.
Shit makes no sense.
That pissed me off. That's the nature of a revolving door.
And that's all streaming platforms. Netflix, everybody does that shit, right? If you don't watch that shit now, unless it's a first party thing, if it's a Netflix movie, you're all right. If it's a Netflix show, you're fine. But if it's a third party thing, you better get in there and watch it because
so far though,
it's gonna be gone.
Because you have that. I put stuff to my list, but it's hard to find your list. I just go by the continue watching. My list is like somewhere else. I finally stumbled across my list, and I'm like, holy shit, these are still here. Mowgli, I forgot. I know that was Netflix, but Stargate SG-1 was still on. I was like, oh, they still have SG-1 on? Whatever it was. Some other stuff I'd forgotten.
I love SG-1.
Yeah, I've only watched it once. I'm thinking about restarting it here someday in the near future. But, yeah, just final getting back to I gotta give Xbox and Sony kind of a little bit of shit for not having an external disk drive work on their digital consoles, because it's like doesn't matter to them. I mean, what does it matter to them? It's gonna get you to buy their console one way or the other. You're buying their console, and if you happen to, let's say,
I think the issue is, it's not like the PS3 or PS3. Look at me, PS5 games or God dang, why did I go back to PS3? PS5 games or Xbox Series games. You can read them on any kind of Blu-ray drive, right? They have special, the drive is special to be able to read those discs.
I think it's just it just needs to be an Ultra HD drive, which are expensive as hell. They're like 120 to 150, so it's not like it's a cheaper.
Yeah, but even if you just have an Ultra HD drive and you put it in your computer, does it read a PS5 game? Does it read? No, because it has to have the serials and all that shit that those drives read to be able to play those games.
There would be
so
an
it's not
issue
just
with
situation you can just plug it in and be able to play a physical game.
And you
So I
can't.
kind of understand it. It still kind of sucks. I wish it would at least let you do movies, right? Like if it did that, I would have already bought a Series S. If I could do Ultra Blu-ray movies on it, Ultra HD movies, if I could do that, I'd already have a Series S.
Because the One S had an Ultra HD drive.
Right.
And the other thing would be let me hook up a DVD drive and play Xbox 360 games.
Yeah, like I think okay, I understand why it doesn't play games because they're worried about piracy and shit. They don't
Yeah,
want people being able to rip, using it. I understand that, but why can't it play movies? Like I think it should at least be able to play. Should be able to plug up a drive, to be able to play movies and stuff like that. So
yeah. Now I'm thinking, I do remember. I do think the USB connection could be easily, but used
yeah,
for
they're gonna people
pirating.
are gonna pirate rip shit.
But can you
That's
make
why
your
they don't.
But at the
own?
same time, how many
Propri-
people are actually gonna go through that process? It's be less than 1%. Like,
Well,
Well,
here's the
also,
thing.
well, couldn't
Not that
Microsoft
many,
make
but you know what? They're gonna be like, I'm not gonna help them,
yeah.
even if there's not that many people. We're not gonna help them as a
But
company.
I wonder how many people it would benefit
Well, I mean,
versus how many
Microsoft.
would
I
abuse
feel
it.
like Microsoft could just easily make their own proprietary disk drive. So, like,
Or just make one that's that's certified to work on the Series S or something. Just partner with somebody.
Yeah,
yeah,
and here's the thing about the Series S. We know it's selling really well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's justifiable for them to make a
can-
drive.
I mean, because part of the cost, most of the cost savings is just the drop in performance. The less RAM, a lesser CPU and GPU. So the disk drive is probably not even that much money to them, except for it would change the size of the cabinet, and they
Yeah,
wanted that
these
small,
motherfuckers,
quiet.
they made a what was it called? What was that shit called? It was
HD
Blu-ray versus
HD DVD drive.
Yeah, they had an HD DVD drive for the fucking 360. So why?
I wonder what that
when
thing's
they,
worth on eBay now. That's got to be a
probably
relic.
more
I
than
don't
we
think they're
think.
that expensive.
My
You
HD
think they would
DVD
be?
player ain't worth shit, unfortunately.
I'm gonna look it up. I don't think they're worth anything.
So anyway, I mentioned this earlier. PlayStation finally added the variable refresh rate option. T was talking about the Steam Deck added where you can change the hertz, and it they posted a what do you call it, a blog, and they're like
$25. You can get
25.
one.
Yeah, that ain't shit.
Damn,
Yeah, I didn't think they'd be worth anything.
damn.
So they posted a blog saying, these 20 games or whatever are gonna be have access to the VRR patch, and where people are like, "What the fuck? They got to update games?" Well, it works just across the board. You can just toggle it to just be on, and it works for any game that 60 drops down to 30 or down to 40. I think it only goes down to 48. The range is 48 to 60 frames per second. But either way, the games that got patched was very surprising. Is like Insomniac did all their 3 games. So like Ratchet and Clank, the fidelity mode, the ray trace mode that was capped at 30. With VRR, they just uncapped the frame rate because anybody doesn't know variable refresh rate, just your monitor and your GPU sync together. So if there's a frame rates change, the refresh rate of your monitor or TV changes, so you don't notice any slowdown. There's no screen tearing. It's smooth. Ratchet and Clank was running between 40 and 50 in fidelity mode, so it was almost close. It was almost hitting. I mean, it was close, not close, but it was closer to 60 than a lot of people would have thought. So you can basically play in fidelity mode, get all the visual features, and if you have the right TV, I mean, it's 40 to 50 FPS, and it's so much smoother, and that's fairly close to 60 at that point. And then the performance mode's hitting over 100 at times, and it's like the game drops to 60 in the intense moments, but in the lighter moments, it's hitting 100. It's averaging like 80. So it's like, wow, that's just kind of an insight into developers where they have to cap games, not because they can't hit these higher, but you don't want these huge drops. You don't want to range from 60 to 100 on a normal display. It's going to look choppy as hell. And I think Metroid Dread, someone found out the same thing. Dread could run over 60 on Switch, but not consistently. So they just cap it. So some pretty cool stuff. I've had my OLED now almost 3 years, like 2 months shy of 3 years, and I'm finally 3 years later able to utilize all the features of that TV that that they implemented back then, the HDMI 2.1 features. I finally have access to all of them now, and I've had the TV for almost 3 years, and that's obviously I could have waited, but I got other benefits other than just that stuff. So that was pretty exciting. None of the games I own have the patch stuff in there, but it does give me a little excitement that maybe Returnal could get a higher frame rate mode or something in the future. So it's cool. It took them a year and a half, but it seems like they're doing it a pretty good job with it. So that's cool for me. And it's not 5 years like the folders for the Switch, which we never really talked about. I don't think on the podcast, did we?
I think I
It
mentioned the
happened
update
during the podcast, and I was
but
like,
you were like, we're not gonna get into it.
and
So I think we didn't get into it.
and then it turned out that it was like it's more cumbersome than just the old basically the other way, the way that there was before. That's like, and I don't know if we ever talked about that. So I don't know, just spontaneously, I'm curious if anybody used it. I've never even messed with it.
You?
Yeah, I used it.
The problem for me is just like those games are still in your basement.
You still have to go all the way over to the basement, click on that, and then
that's
L?
the core of the issue. Yeah, the core of the issue is if you could just put them bitches on the front, like the very front of the Switch screen, like when you first open it up, boom. If the folders could be, or the groups, because that's technically what they're called. If they could just be right there when I first cut the bitch on, it'd be fine. But the fact that you got to scroll all the way over to the right, hit all games, and then you can see them,
and then you have to choose how you want to sort it. So if you want,
and I'm just like, and I'm like, fuck, it's only cumbersome because they won't just let me have it on the front, like just like, or if you just let me
move all the icons, like the store, move those above. So if you want to go to the store, you hit up on your D-pad. Make it so if you hit down on the D-pad, it instantly goes to your groups. All your groups are just instantly there, and you just pick your group and you're in. Like, it's simple. And I don't know if it's just they really don't have access to any more system RAM or something. They can't sacrifice adding too much to the OS, but it's basically just a alternate to having your games arranged by playtime or by alphabetical. So now it's like by groups.
Yeah, it's a very.
Does Steam have folders?
This just does it. It just what you needed to do. Oh, you can do that.
It just does. I haven't seen anybody show like folders on the Steam. I just like
Steam has what is it called? Let me look. I don't want to say it wrong.
I love that every company has
always had it.
I hate how every company has like 6 different names for the same thing.
Because I feel like if you had like 100 like genuine like
collections. So you can go in and say, "Oh, I want to put," because I only have one right now. Mine's for the longest journey. There's Dreamfall chapters. There's the longest journey. Then there's Dreamfall, the longest journey. So that's a collection. So I put all those together. I mean, you can make any collection you want, name it whatever you want, obviously. And it just catalogs all that stuff together. So it's not really a folder either, but
see, the PlayStation 4 had a cool feature where you could basically, I think did you have to hit down or you go to it, it was always in front, and then you put whatever games you wanted in there. So if I was jumping between 2 or 3 different games at the time, I'd put those in that group. And then when I moved on to a different game, I would take one out and I'd move the new game in. So that way it's always right there on the first little icon.
Yeah, I mean, like, why can't it just give you your games on the front like that and just let you scroll down them? Why does it have to be? Why does it only put 6 games or 7 games on the front page? Then you got to go into the basement.
Yeah, why can't they just be there and you just use the?
Why can't it just be there, right? You can just go through them
and scroll, and then have your folders right there. Like that just seems
right. And then when you make a collection, that's what it looks like. So it's just a one. So there's so it's like a folder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so if you click on there, then you can see all the 3 games I have in that collection.
Yeah, if you had 100 Steam games, then you could have like your CD Projekt Red folder. Or
right. If you wanted to do that, you can call it CD Projekt Red.
Your action RPG folder, your Souls games folder, or whatever.
Right.
Racing games, sports games. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's just. I think it was just one of those things. People got excited. I seen a couple tweets where people were like, "Oh, we got folders! Oh, yeah, this is awesome!" Yeah. And then the next day,
took 5 years.
Oh, this is how they work. wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because there was people. Oh, well, what are you guys gonna complain about now? Switch has folders.
I'm gonna complain about folders because you still don't have them.
I think OJ was the first one, like instantly. What are you guys gonna complain about now? You got your folders, and then
We
people
can
were
complain
like,
about the fact that it took 5 years.
Yeah, it still
I
took
don't
way
know.
too fucking long.
That, is,
For
that's
you
pretty
to
fair
it took you way too long to kind of do it.
to kind of fix it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got it, but there's a caveat.
I just don't understand the mentality of everything is awesome. Don't question anything. That's sheepish to me.
Yeah, but people like being a part of cults. I mean, fandoms. It's, people, people, people like that community and don't
You can
and are
still be
like,
a fan of some shit without
no,
being like
no.
slavishly.
That listen, God Master Miyamoto won't allow that kind of slander in the House of N. In the House of N, there is no there is no maybe. It's either you like it or you're a sinner like all those Sony ponies,
I'm
okay?
still a Nintendo fan. I support the shit out of Switch more than a lot of these crying bitches do.
You're a
Like,
sinning pony. That's what you
whining
are.
about me. I'm like, bitch, you don't have nearly the fucking amount of games I have for Switch. What are you giving me shit
yeah,
for?
I don't get. Sorry, I got a little interrupted or distracted there. Someone was like, yeah, what are they gonna complain about next? And like, oh, they're moving on to the next thing. Now they're gonna complain about no themes. Make that the top one.
Well, no, we've already been complaining
Yeah.
about these things for
Are
years.
you
It's not like what the fuck?
I guess you could be sick because Nintendo's not going to do anything about it. I guess you could be sick of people complaining about it, but at the same time, don't celebrate these folders like it's now it's going to shut these, and then like they're going to move on to the next thing. Well, yeah, well no, because we're going to stay in folders because
Can't
they're
move on
trash.
because this shit ain't right.
They did it wrong.
Nintendo might move on. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean the fandom will.
That's like, what's the term for giving somebody something that
Indian
they asked
giver?
for, but it's not even close to being right. I feel like there's an expression.
Oh,
It's just like they did it so they could say they did it, but they didn't really do it. I can't think if there is an expression or something, but I feel like
there might be, but I
Yeah, I
can't
don't know
think
if
of it
there's a
either.
word for that or
it's just like
It feels like it's a phrase. It wouldn't be a word.
a phrase. Yeah,
it feels like
Oh wait, wouldn't that be like bait and switch, or is that not the exact same thing?
that's not what I was
No.
looking for. It's just like, hey, you guys can quit complaining about we added your folders. You guys been asking. Here you go. It's just like they're just
Misdirection?
I don't know.
I don't know.
or like the Wii, like not Wii remotes. Look at me. What's wrong with me? I'm like generations behind.
You like my
You're
mom?
hanging out.
Yeah.
You're hanging out in
The
mid
Joy-Con.
2000s.
I know, right? The Joy-Cons and the solution, which was, yeah, just send your shit in. Nothing's wrong, but send in your Joy-Cons and we'll fix them for free.
To be fair,
You know, like, now what are you going to complain about? They're fixing them for free.
to be fair, that
No.
drift
I got to spend
issue.
my Joy-Cons off for 2 weeks.
The irony with that whole situation is that the drift issue, I'm thinking it was just a Joy-Con thing, and then it turned out like every other new gen console had that problem. You were like,
yeah. Well,
What?
yeah, but it wasn't to the extent
no, it wasn't. You're right.
of what, yeah. And a lot of times, again, a lot of people who got mad at me for pointing this out over and over again never fucking use their Joy-Cons. I use the bitches all the time. These are people who went out and bought a fucking Pro controller. I did too, but I still use my Joy-Cons
Yeah, if
because
you
I
see
wanted to
the
have
little-
that cool.
I felt like T bought one
The
reluctantly.
little
He
analog
was like,
sticks,
oh,
man. Those
fuck.
things are tiny, so they're
Yeah.
probably just not gonna be able to handle as much abuse
No.
anyway. Just to,
Well, it seems to
And
be an
that's
issue.
that's where Nintendo was at fault. It's a design flaw.
It seems to be an issue with those analog sticks in general, considering
Yeah,
everyone's had.
those joysticks in general.
I think I think everyone uses them because they were like cheap and available, but
Right.
realistically, they just don't need to use those fucking
But
analog.
then I
sticks
look at,
anymore.
I don't know if it's not the Ion Neo. One of those other portable computers uses them, and I'm like, so you're charging motherfuckers $1,200 for this thing, and you could cheap out on the fucking joysticks? Are you serious?
Yeah, I think it's too cheap and convenient, and it was probably readily available, and they were like, well, fuck it, we're all gonna
Well,
use them.
clearly they are, because if you wanted to replace them, they're super cheap to replace online. You can just buy them yourself. It's a pain in the ass to do it on the Switch though, because it's so fucking small.
Oh, dude, me doing that shell replacement on the fucking things. I've seen people just do it and be like, "I'm not gonna take the ribbon cables off. I'm just gonna flip it in there." And I'm like, "That's cool, but if you fuck it up, that ribbon cable is a bitch to get back in there."
Yeah, you fucked because that thing is so tiny.
You know what I did?
I got tweezers. That's what I used.
I pushed the thing the wrong way and it broke the little plastic thing that kind of clicks in to hold the ribbon cable. It was for the smallest one. That fucker popped off the little hinge. And so here I am with a magnifying glass and tweezers, and I'm squeezing between these like metal rounded tweezers, and I almost have it. All of a sudden, ting! It flew off, and I'm like, where did that go?
No!
I spent about 25 minutes. I found it on the floor. I just had to get a light. I had to not to move anything. I looked as little white. I mean, without the magnifying glass, the fucking thing was barely visible. It's like the size of like 3 grains of salt together.
It trips me out that it's so much easier to switch the case off the actual console itself, but the moment you get these fucking controllers, dog, my issue was just not getting the rubber button things on top of it. So when I clicked it back together, I'm like, all right, let me press it down. All right, the buttons work, the analog stick works. Let me hit the start. Oh no, I gotta open this stupid thing again.
Yeah. So when you change, like obviously, I changed my colors and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was feeling, I'm gonna mod and do all the cool pain in the ass. The biggest problem I always had was this little fucking thing on the back, the release.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Plastic. That shit was a pain in the ass to keep in as you're trying to put everything back together.
See, I don't.
Yeah. You don't, you are fucked. It's not gonna slide and it's not gonna snap into place.
Yeah.
I didn't have any trouble with that. What mine was,
I was having so much trouble with that shit, man. I was like,
the new plastic. So you got these tiny screws, and I go to screw them in, and they like felt like they were tight, and then the case would separate. I'm like, what the fuck? And I kept trying to tighten it, and I messed one up. Well, what was happening was it's cutting new threads in to that new plastic, and the holes was a little small, so the screw was filling the bolt was filling, the threads were filling up with that plastic it was cutting. So I figured out I had to go in a little bit, back it out, clean off the plastic off the threads, and go in further. And I wish I had known that, because I was just trying to force the shit in, but I ended up staying tightly together. But that was something that if I did another one, I would definitely do better the next time. But
yeah, I was low key tempted to mod my second Switch just for the fuck of it, and I was like, I don't know if I want to put up with that bullshit with that goddamn control.
You might as well which one did you get rid of? Your day one or your?
Yeah, I got rid of my day one.
So you can't put homebrew. You can't hack it.
The two I have left is the OLED and the
red box ones you can't hack,
and the improved battery one. And that's the other one.
I was like, man, if I got the OLED, I was almost thinking of keeping the other one and just, unlocking it, whatever.
And do what you do, anything you want to do, everything you want to do.
Have themes and folders.
Folders, themes.
It's like when I get the new chick.
So so you say that. So that's the defense, right? The defense is, well, especially like with Bluetooth. Well, maybe it's just not enough RAM and not enough power, blah blah blah. And then you have people mod them and do all this shit, and it still runs fine.
You're absolutely right.
You're like, well, that excuse is bullshit.
You're right.
No, Nintendo is like weirdly reserved when it comes to their own technology. Like even when people found out that, like, bro, you don't even have to overclock the Switch. Like Nintendo just didn't let the Switch go a little bit higher than it could.
It's just not even clocked at its normal.
Yeah, like there was
setting.
It made me
battery power is the main.
But the
reason,
yeah, for the day one, it is. I mean,
but the paranoia was so bad, and I'm just kind of like, are you afraid of your console? Like, not.
But the heat isn't an issue because people overclock the GPU, CPU, and it stays at like 60 in the 60s, which is
Nintendo was overly cautious. That's the way I look at it.
They're afraid if they give it more power, it'll start selling like GameCube.
let me pull out my mini disc accessory.
And it's not like doubling the CPU clock speed is going to be night and day, but it would be an improvement. It's proven that even without optimization, it can have a game keep its target frame rate. Like Doom 3 is supposed to be 60, but it's not like 40 something, and with the overclock, it's a lock 60 the entire game. Like
Yeah.
not every game's that cut and dry. So, but that's the biggest factor with why the Xbox One X, which has a more powerful GPU than the Series S, it can't compete because the Series S has the GPU or the CPU that's like 3 times better. So you can't. The Series S can actually overcome the weaker GPU with the better CPU and have games run at 60 and all that. So, but it still wouldn't hurt, especially with the new more efficient Switch since 2019. They could easily run that, and you still get 5 hours of battery life, probably 4 or 5 hours of battery life running it at full, because it gets 9 currently, 8 to 9 depending on the game. So yeah, give me the option.
I'm just amazed that I spent just holding these things now. I spent 250 hours in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild doing this shit. Like, I can't believe I actually played the entire game.
Yeah, they do not feel good.
Hundreds of hours like this. And same thing with Mario Odyssey. This is the only way I played it because it was just made more. It worked better this way as far as controlling Mario and doing the Cappy and all that shit. Like, it wasn't as intuitive using a Pro controller. And I'm like, I wonder if I'll do that again, like for the sequel for Odyssey, and for
I can tell you the gain
sequel.
you get in just like throwing Cappy, you lose in being able to do like the more advanced. Because I cannot like going from you throw the hat. You do the long jump, you bounce off your hat, you throw the hat again, you dive at it. Like, I couldn't do that with the Joy-Cons consistently.
Really? I can't do that with the Pro controller.
The buttons are so close together. I kept hitting the wrong buttons, and I just couldn't do it.
It's like Fast. Remember we were playing Fast RMX?
Yeah.
Like, I still to this day prefer to use the gripped Joy-Cons to play that game. It doesn't feel right using a Pro controller.
I have at this point, I have over 1,000 hours with the Pro controller, and probably under 100, definitely under 100 hours using the Joy-Cons. I don't know how much.
Really?
A little. I bet you my Joy-Con total, most of that's handheld.
Yeah, and you're the guy who say to me, "Hey, my Joy-Cons are fine. I don't know why you keep having Joy-Cons.
I don't have no drift.
You don't use them."
So Robert's not going to make it. He didn't say. He must have fell asleep or something. We'll talk about
That's
it
why
next week.
I actually fell asleep. I was like, oh shit.
We'll talk about it next week. But Robert
My
started
wife
playing.
woke me up, so you can
you.
thank her for
It would have
me
been
being
just
here.
me for an hour. But anyway, Robert started playing Returnal because he's a year behind now on his games, and so he started playing it, and he's like, man, I really like this game. So I was like, well, let's try the co-op. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't look into it. So he sent me an invite. I joined it. We went through the first biome, into the second, got to the boss, died. I was like, yeah, let's try it again. Got through, beat the boss, and got into the third. And then we didn't get him on the first try, so we played the next day because we played 5 hours on Saturday. We started at 4.
Wow.
And we played till 9. And he's like, oh my God. Robert, he's like, I can't believe how much time went by. He's like, it felt like 2 hours tops. And I was like, well, I'm glad you're enjoying the game. So we played it again yesterday, another 5-hour stint. We beat the third boss, and it was intense as hell, just down to the wire. Then it separates you because there's a story element, big story. It's like the game's 3 acts, and that's the end of Act 1. And he's like, he just started playing in the 4th biome, and he's just like, man, I got this really good weapon. I was like, oh, that's the gun I was telling you about. And we're just voice chatting. He ended up going through the whole 4th biome by himself, beat the boss. And I was like, damn, dude, 1 try. And then we played into the hardest one is the 5th, I think. And we got pretty far and then died. But honestly, 10 hours of co-op. I think it's been a while. I don't play a lot of co-op, but I can't think of a game that I liked better in co-op since Contra. It works really well as a co-op game, and you can play basically just he could have invited me right away, and we could have just continued. And I was like, damn, for a game that wasn't designed as co-op, it really does play and work pretty well. And we had a blast. I wish he was here to talk about it, but next week we can. It's just like one of those things. Like he started off with just random. He played co-op from the beginning. I'm like, dude, it was made as a solo game. I at least try it a little bit that way because he was playing with randoms and they were just running ahead, and it wasn't working out. But we did a little more strategizing and stuff, and I was like, god damn, like talk about like adding a second wind to that for that game for me. I probably wouldn't have played it again anytime soon. And there I spent 10 hours this weekend playing it, and it's definitely elevated the game even higher for me, which was already pretty high. So it was cool though. Haven't spent a lot of time playing online gaming at all on PlayStation, other than Clockton and I with Elden Ring a few times. I've rarely used the PlayStation as a multiplayer game or system, so that was pretty fun. And he really loves the game, so it's always nice when you love a game and then somebody else plays it and they love it too, instead of that's better than when they're like, I don't know, man, I don't know, I don't like it. So that was cool. But yeah, other than that, I think I don't got any other topics.
Did y'all already?
Sports?
Oh,
I was gonna say, did y'all talk about the acquisition thing?
The
Square Enix selling off shit for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Bruh, do y'all think that those IPs are not worth a lot?" Because like, what the fuck?
Bet Sony and Microsoft sitting around like, fuck. We could have got it for what?
Yeah,
I understand.
What is it? Crystal Dynamics, Eidos, Montreal,
Square Enix.
Hold on, I had it up. Let me pull it back up.
So Tomb Raider, what was it?
Thief,
Deus Ex.
Yeah, they really haven't been hitting too many of their games though. The Avengers game was a big failure.
No, it was. Guardians of the Galaxy did better, but
Guardians was a flop. But that
Guardians didn't sell for shit
because Avengers sucked. Because I'm playing Guardians right now. That fucking game is phenomenal.
When I looked up, Guardians so better. It just didn't sell well enough for them to.
How much money they paid for the license?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
For a Marvel IP.
All right, here we go.
All the voice actors, the top voice actors they hired.
And they also sold Square Enix Montreal.
Yeah, Square Enix Montreal said that. Obviously, they're not going to be called Square Enix Montreal
wasn't
anymore.
that just like a idea? Wasn't that formerly something else?
No. From what it looks like, that was their own. So what happened, for those who may or not know, I think it was like late 2009 or some shit. Square Enix decided to buy a bunch of Western studios, and that's how they ended up getting access to things like fucking Crystal Dynamics and shit, and Tomb Raider and all these other shit. And I think that was during the period where Japan's gaming industry was kind of shitting itself. That was when that was during the PS3 360 era, where like a lot of Japanese companies were like, we're going to appeal to Westerners. Then we got that gritty, realistic version of like Bomberman that we don't talk about, because what the fuck? And Square was like, we're going to do the same thing, where we're just going to buy studios. And all things considered, most of those IPs didn't do terribly, but they could have done a lot better. Like even Square Enix. Remember the fucking reboot? For those who remember, when Square Enix 2013 dropped, the game dropped, sold like 3 million copies, and Square was like, "Oh, this is bad," and we're like, "Huh? Like, what do you mean?
You meant Tomb Raider? You said Square Enix 2013.
Oh, I did. My bad. Yeah, Tomb Raider. When Tomb Raider reboot came out, and they were like, "It sold 3 million copies," and Square's like, "Oh, this is bad," and you're like, "Wait, what? 3 million is bad?"
I was confused, but what?
And then they made 2 more games, and actually, we knew things were kind of bad because the second game was exclusive to Xbox systems for a minute. What was it, a year?
Well,
it was a year.
Supposed to be for a year, but at PC they pushed out the Steam version like 2 months later. It was supposed to.
That was totally worth it.
It really wasn't. And so the biggest,
because they were trying to compete with Uncharted 4 and
yes,
which was Tomb Raider was a game though.
It was,
but it made no sense
for Microsoft, but I don't know if it was.
I don't think it was beneficial for Square. It wasn't. Well, the irony is that you're having Tomb Raider compete with Uncharted when Uncharted gets most of its shit from the original Tomb Raiders.
Yeah.
Which
Like,
is so weird, right? It's weird.
it's like, how the fuck did
And
the
this
tables
and the new
turn this
Tomb Raiders get
badly?
a lot of their stuff from the Uncharted. They like
I mean,
copied.
Uncharted, right?
It's almost like, what the fuck happened? But from what I understand, the biggest problem with those studios and how Square managed them is that Square was micromanaging more and more as time went on. You got, I think, Deus Ex. What was it? What was the last one? Mankind Divided, right?
Yeah,
That one was
that was
actually
a
a pretty.
debacle.
Yeah, it was. It was that was
Pre-order shit. That was some of the worst, most egregious pre-order shit I've ever seen. Like, what are
Square.
you doing?
Square wouldn't keep their hands out of their games, and it ended up burning a lot of
So how much did
those
they sell
games.
the
What
Babylon's
did
Fall
they call it?
IP
Like a
for?
pre-order loadout? I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, and you're just like, why are y'all doing this? And then you had that weird remake of Thief that no one liked. What the fuck? You just got like and then obviously you had the Marvel games, and shit just got bad. It got really bad, and a lot of people blame Square for it because it was like, bro, if y'all had just left these companies alone, I think you would have been fine, and they wouldn't do it. Um, and so they said, we're gonna sell it to, how do you pronounce this again? Is it
Some
Embracer?
Sweden.
Embracer. Now, I know them because they also, I believe, have control over THQ Nordic. I think that's what they were originally called.
Yeah.
And then they changed their name. And I was like, well, THQ Nordic is pretty, at least from what I've seen, is pretty good about rotating its IPs in and out.
Yeah.
And getting some decent quality titles. And they already were talking about, like, on the tweet and shit when they put it out, like, oh, we're gonna have Legacy of Kain and fucking Tomb Raider and stuff. Like, they were already talking about things they already plan to do. Now, granted, we won't really see any of these projects for like another
Well, they
what,
just
2-3 years.
confirmed like at the Unreal event like 2 weeks ago that they're making a new Tomb Raider using Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, that's another thing that was weird. I was like, they announced they're working on a new Tomb Raider, and it's like, oh, we don't want to incur that cost. Bye.
Yeah, I think Square was probably not happy back during like 2013, 2014, but it was already too early for them to start fucking up. And then they started putting their hands in the games, and it just got progressively worse. And I'm like,
I mean, I like the Tomb Raider games, but I'm ready for a new direction. I want more of a just an open adventure game and just get away from the Uncharted stuff. The running,
they want essentially
cinematic
you want
moments where you're running and everything's crumbling
Yeah,
around you, and you just
Tomb
gotta
Raider
do it.
needs to regain its identity. Essentially, that's what it feels like.
Just give Lara Croft a nice move set and be able to use the environment to
Like,
do some platforming
overall,
and stuff, you know. So
this is something that was probably overdue to happen anyway, because Square, like a lot of those other Japanese companies, was so concerned about like getting some popularity in the West, which is why they grabbed these IPs in the first place, but really didn't know how to fucking market them or handle them correctly.
I still feel like they weren't. I mean, they
They
might have
weren't.
been interfering
They weren't
somewhat,
terrible.
but I don't expect. Like, these companies are big enough. They're probably still with their new owners. Probably going to just be like, well, just keep doing what you're doing, and just probably monitor that, and maybe bring in, maybe a new have somebody
I'm not.
from their company go and be like the head of a department or something. I don't expect it to be like,
It's not gonna be like
anything major new.
completely different. But the one thing I think most people are happy about is them just trying the rest of the IPs they had, because Square didn't really touch a chunk of their IPs. I think like one fuck up, and it was like, well, that's it. I'm not touching this shit again.
So this
And I think people,
probably it's not like it's gonna free up Square's development teams or like
no,
so
because
it's just basically getting rid
now
of
they
expenses for paying, funding these games and stuff.
listen, man. Square has to work on that Final Fantasy 16. It's trying to make money, not lose money. I say this.
I think they're trying to. They're downsizing. They don't want to.
That's a lot
have
of
to
overhead.
worry about funding all these studios. And I think with the just money they've blown with
they've blown
Avengers, and I guess even
they lost too much money on them.
And Babylon's Fall.
God,
Babylon's
they couldn't sell that fucking IP
and,
for $100.
No, you couldn't.
Balan Wonderworld, right? Even that was a disaster.
Yep.
So
yeah, and they're getting sued for that, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Because it took Yuji Naka's name off the game. before.
Can we talk about Yuji Naka for a minute?
No, listen.
Clockton started that game, by the way, and he's just like Robert explained to him that he's got to do all the little quick time mini things where you got to like go through, like he's flying the Balin guy, and you have to press it right at the perfect time. You have to get him perfect every time, and then you get a trophy. You have to do all those perfect to unlock the next set of levels. And Clockton said, "Fuck it."
Like,
no, that game.
We just talked about Babylon's Fall. Trash. Not Babylon. The debacle with Avengers, which screwed up a good game in Guardians.
Who made the decision?
They've been having some mismanagement. It's just other games I can't think of right
now. Avengers should have been a fucking. That should have been a.
That game was too ambitious.
That should have been a moneymaker.
Yeah, but they tried to make it. They tried to make it the season pass bullshit. On
top of that, the game's core to me was just fucking lacking.
It's a hack and slash.
It's a hack and slash game.
Like I said, it's a higher fidelity Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. That's what it was.
You couldn't make a fucking game where Iron Man, you're just flying, have some actual levels where you can just control Iron Man. No. You do all this cool stuff, or your Hulk. You do all this cool stuff.
There are hack and slash games.
I will never forget when I played the demo, and I flew maybe 5 to 10 feet left, and the game said you're out of bounds and reset me back on the ground, and I went, nope, absolutely not. Nope. This is not. Why even make an Avengers game if I can't fly?
Remember when they released the gameplay reveal or whatever, and it showed Hulk just like this, like it was just some generic machine, like
robots,
and he's just Hulk. He's just smashing it for like 10 hits, and then it breaks, and he goes to the next one, and they do the exact same thing. I'm like, it's the Hulk. It'd be broken one hit. Like you didn't.
The problem is,
I was worried right there, and I was turned out.
The problem is, if you had started with Guardians and then made a solo game, you would have been fine. But that's not what you did. You fucking thought, let me try to do the hardest of the things to do. You chose to try to emulate some of the most iconic characters in comic books.
Plus, they looked wrong.
Well, let me get to my point first, though.
Oh yeah, go. Sorry.
So obviously, Square has screwed some things up. That is a point. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
But so Yuji Naka and a lot of people are jumping because they love Yuji Naka, what he did 20 years ago.
Yeah. Keiji Inafune, everybody.
Run into his defense, and I heard, I forget who it was, but he was even like, "Yo, that's what happened. Now we know." I'm like, no, you know his side.
Yeah, they took him off 6 months before they released the game.
Exactly, that's my point. 6 months. So you're telling me the garbage that is Balan Wonderworld would have been okay, would have been fixed had he got 6 more months to work on it?
No.
That
game is fundamentally broken.
80 plus suits, 80 something suits, and
we're making
shit. You can jump.
But here's the thing:
you can jump with that suit. That suit.
It also has like out of game lore that he made, and like you can go like read online and shit that develops a story. Like, why the fuck
going to work? For the game that you're making, you have to make that shit in the game.
People didn't like that shit in Destiny. I think.
What is the last good game Yuji Naka made? Now I'm gonna say.
You're gonna say Rodea, aren't you?
No, hell no. I'm gonna say Billy Hatcher. But
all right, that's fair.
A lot of people would probably not even think of that game because nobody bought it.
Billy Hatcher is a mediocre game, but it wasn't
mediocre
a bad game.
for the most
part.
But
it's not a bad game.
It has a lot of really good charm in it. It's a charming game.
But it's mediocre as fuck.
So your track record in the last 20 years
is bad.
Plus hasn't been that great.
No.
So for you to come off and be like, Square doesn't care about gamers, I'm like, what? Like, that's just saltiness.
You should have been like, you don't care about gamers, putting this bullshit out here.
Yeah, when's the last time you cared about my dollars that I just spent on your trash? Like Square, it wasn't Square's fault that Rodea turned out garbage. It wasn't Square's fault that Billy Hatcher was pretty mediocre. Who are you blaming there?
It makes me mad
all the time you want it.
It suffers the same problem as Keiji Inafune's Mighty Number 9 did, where all
Right.
you're doing is like Balan just is an emulation of Knights. Like when you look
Right.
at like Mighty Number Nine was an emulation of Mega Man, and motherfuckers ate Mega Man Mighty Number Nine up because it's Mega Man. Mega Man
Right.
has a huge
And here's the
following.
thing: had
Knights,
he actually made a game that was as good as Knights, right? Let's say he made a game that was, oh man, that's as good as Knights. What would
that's not
people care today?
no,
You know,
no. See, and that's the point. Mega Man emulating Mega Man is a way bigger deal because that game, especially because I think Capcom's like financials came out recently. Mega Man's like they're even now it's still like in the top 5. I want to say
Yeah.
of their selling franchises. Knights was never, and I need to reiterate
It was
this hard.
super niche.
It
I
was
love it.
never
Clockton
meant
loves
to
it,
be a
and
system seller.
I love it. Clockton loves it, and some of our friends. That's it.
I played
It's
the
a-
demo on the Saturn at Toys R Us.
It's an okay game, and and guess what the best version of Knights is? The original.
The original one.
Because people
Which
don't
was 1995, 96.
because people don't
So-
people the Wii version is kind of like half and half from what most people
It's
say.
good when you're doing the night stuff from the original game, but the rest of the game sucks. So, like, I'm gonna be honest. As a fan, I can be honest about that shit. Like, it's not great.
No,
So-
it's not.
You don't have enough track record to stand on to be like, oh,
And
I
the
could have
ga-
fixed it. He brought up this thing about Sonic. Oh, in the last days of Sonic, I decided that if you had one ring, you can rule them all. No, if you had one ring, you can still survive. With one ring, you still live. As long as you have that one ring. I'm like, we did that in the last 3. You can't do that shit today in today's games. You can't fix something in the last couple of days of a game.
Wait a minute, what
that
was the
would be, like,
last
impactful?
Yeah, he said his
What the-
game development doesn't end until the launch day or some shit.
Now granted, there are
you can't
certain
do that shit today.
to be fair, there are some developers who still did that shit. Like fucking
But he was
Oh,
But no,
Platinum-
my point, you can do it. But what I'm saying is, you can't
shouldn't
do
rely
it
on
where
it.
it be as impactful as that ring thing.
yeah.
You know, you couldn't do it to where, oh man, that's a game changing type of
Are they
thing.
gonna make it so you can jump with every stupid suit in that game?
Are you gonna get rid of 79 of those fucking suits? You know, like, because Square Enix didn't make those suits. You did. You made 80 something suits for a game, and most of them were like, oh, you can jump now.
Isn't there the one that likes a spring, but it doesn't let you jump any higher than
Right,
the
it's
standard
just-
jump?
It's stupid.
It's so bad.
Also, when I looked up, I just wanted to look up to see what was the last game Yuji Naka was even Sonic game at least that he was a part of. Your last game
Oh, that
was-
Sonic game was, yeah.
was
go ahead.
fucking with Sonic Riders. Like,
Right, yeah.
Like, huh? What? Like,
Sonic
is that-
Riders.
And listen, I want to be fair here. Sonic Riders is the first one is all right, but like your last claim to fame is a fucking spin-off title. And then after that, it's just a bunch of Phantasy Star Universe, a bunch of Wii bullshit titles, Street Fast Mansion, and Rodea that we don't.
Yeah.
And God,
And they fucked the Wii U version.
You're
The
not-
Wii version was the
I'm not even a big Kojima fan.
yeah,
You're
I
like
fucking
Kojima.
hate that shit. I hated that shit, dog.
It's not like you're Kojima. You could say some shit. I'm like, all right, I kind of believe that then. Yuji, you ain't did nothing in a long time, bro.
yeah, Kojima at least had some level of
Yeah,
clout
and I'm
to
not
get
even
away
a
with.
big Kojima fan, but I can acknowledge that. Oh, okay, if Kojima said that shit about Konami. Yeah, I believe it. If he said that shit about, if he was to say some shit like that about Square, had they worked together, I'd believe him.
Yeah,
He got a better track record. He made games. He made good games this
It's not
decade.
like Death Stranding is it seems like the people who like it are the ones that stuck with it through the pains in the beginning.
Oh no, that's literally the whole premise of the game.
Like
It's
what?
like
once you
Death
get like,
Stranding.
the roads, once you open up the roads and stuff, and
Death
you can just
Str-
actually
Death Stranding-
traverse pretty. Is
yeah,
pretty
Death
fun.
Stranding turns into a game like 30 or 40 hours into the bitch, and you're just like, this is
But my point is, he didn't make like this disaster of a
No,
broken
no.
ass mess of a game with his with.
No. Like even Death Stranding, I don't care for it. A lot of
No.
people like it. It's not a bad. I mean, it's not like it's not a piece of trash. It's not garbage. It plays well. It looks great.
Yeah, so
It sold millions of copies. When's the last time you sold that?
look at what
Eugene?
Konami did with Metal Gear after he left. They made that fucking what was it
What did they-
called? Like the online game, like the zombie one.
Oh, Survive? No,
Yeah.
it was good.
Metal Gear
Was it?
Survive. Ooh,
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That came out.
trash.
And then, but here's the kicker is that certain IPs can survive perfectly fine without their original creators. I mean, Mega Man 11 is still a good game, regardless of Keiji Inafune's. Because Keiji at a certain point just became a businessman. That motherfucker wasn't making
Yeah,
games.
he didn't design Mega Man either.
And the
No, he
Resident
didn't.
Evil guy's not there. He doesn't work.
And
on
Yuji
Resident
Naka
Evil.
didn't design Sonic. Like these guys get credit for stuff they didn't actually do. And it's like, and that's why all the people jumped on their Kickstarters and whatnot. Like, oh yeah, again, look at Ukulele.
Yeah.
Like Ukulele, the first one. The second one's actually really good. The first one isn't bad, but it's jank. You know, it's like you think they're gonna do what they did before, and even if they did, would you really like? Would a Banjo-Kazooie game in 2022 be a good game to you today? Probably not.
You gotta
that stuff doesn't work.
You can't just try do the exact same formula of a game from the 90s and
hell, Rare knew that. That's why they made Nuts and Bolts. They were like, we can't really just make another collectathon platformer, can we? Let's try something different. I didn't care for it, but they probably realized you can't just do another Banjo-Kazooie.
Man, Terrell loves being an uncle. You know that? I think he needs some kids. He needs his own because he's
seriously.
Who was the Resident Evil original? The guy who gets credited for Resident Evil franchise.
I
never remember.
Oh my god, I can't get Inafune out of my head now.
Because he
help us out, chat. I can't think of his name.
He wasn't there. They still made good Resident Evil games after he left, and then these new
he went on to do that one series. It's pretty good. I still haven't played. I have them both. Both the games I haven't touched them yet. From what I hear, they're really good horror games.
Turn off your camera. Oh, didn't he do the? What are those called? I can't.
Hi.
nice having you on the podcast, Terrell.
Why did he tell her that she clearly just learned she's on camera?
No, Kamiya didn't do Resident Evil. Shinji Mikami.
Mikami, yes, thank you, Samuel. Shinji Mikami.
What was that fucking other series?
Evil Within. Evil Within.
Yeah. So I mean, in the right, not every Resident Evil game has been good, but they've had some really good ones since. I don't know, was he even there for 4 or was that his last one? I can't remember if he was involved in 4. Because I know Kamiya was involved.
I think 3 was his last one. Maybe it was 4, though.
Because I think, was it Resident Evil 4 that turned into Devil May Cry? Or Resident Evil 3? No, it was Resident Evil 2 turned into Devil May Cry.
2 became Devil May Cry.
And then they kind of tried to revisit it again with 3, and then again he didn't work out. And I forget the story behind 4. The Sphere Hunter has some really good in-depth videos on the Resident Evil franchise. But anyway, I think we should wrap this up.
We exhausted. Oh, there he is.
He used to get so mad when his mom would come in. Now he loves his nephew. So, but yeah,
he likes being an uncle, man.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan. I don't have any patience for kids, so I'm not the best uncle. But I'm not bad. I joke around. They're getting old enough now, and they're teens, so I can joke around with them. But I think we'll wrap this up. Terrell's he's not coming back, so we'll send the stream. We'll see who shows up next week.
He's coming. He's coming.
Oh, here he comes. Unks. Look at that. Proud Unk.
Uncle life.
He's going to have sleepovers when he gets his own house.
I hate all of this, bro.
You don't look like it.
He keeps
like
pushing.
You're having a good time there, Unc.
Listen,
we don't want to keep you from your uncle
He's going to
duties.
interrupt my private. I get no privacy with him.
Duties.
All right. Don't act like you.
It's just like it's just like a pet too. Like as soon as you or
Okay.
alone doing something, that's when they want to bug you because they're like, oh, he's not giving me attention.
He just referred to a human as a pet. Yeah, you're a bad.
Oh,
Hey,
he
it's the
just
same.
made a comparison.
You want to spend time with them? They're on their phones. They don't give us, they don't give a crap. But as soon as like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go do my own thing, then they're all over you. Like,
Hey, what about me?
So-
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're talking about.
give him his own spot on the podcast in a couple years.
no.
I mean,
I
Robert
gotta
was
see.
probably make more
I gotta
sense
get him.
than,
I gotta
Retro
get him into games first.
yeah, get
He probably
it.
better take some retro death with you.
All right, we're gonna
Oh
get
my
out of here though.
goodness.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next
I
week.
touched the water bottle. You.